This starts segment 3 of the Horizon to TEO video tutorial series on configuration. Where we left off was talking about global variables and then moving on to email instance notifications, and then lastly we are going to look at the database configuration. And then to follow that, we're going to look at a quick look at the CLI. We won't do a whole lot of demo or testing on that, but we will kind of talk about how it does involve enabling and disabling systems. So if we look here, we have the Horizon database, and there is not a whole lot to configure more than just the connection and the grooming of a particular database. So what we're going to do is look at this in relation to TEO. So if we go back to our TEO server, here to find the database, we actually have to look in the administration tab and look at database settings. And there are two databases that belong to TEO. It's the process database, which is where most everything is saved in the reports database, which is the reporting on TEO. For the process database, this is something that's installed during base installation. There's not a whole lot to do, much more than there is in Horizon. It's just a configuration of the grooming. Configure audit grooming. Audits will delete after X number of days if you have it enabled. So if I did like this, it will delete after 1 day. It will delete my auditing. Instance grooming will remove the process instances from the database after 15 days. And then task grooming, here you can do completed task or all task audit data over a certain amount of days. By default, I believe is how it looks. So based on your database size growth, what you expect, you can configure this to your needs. And then under the reporting database, if we right-click and do properties, we will see the connection strings for the reporting database. The configuration, again, it's just a grooming on months, on event data, performance data, alert data, etc. And then also the other thing you can do here is just like if you have TA, or just like you've had with Horizon, you can do an import reports. Right-click and do import reports, and then point it to your specific database server, specifically your SRS server or your BO server. If you're going to use business objects to do reporting, we do allow either. So as far as the base comparable configuration, that's what you have. A couple more things you have in TEO. You have target groups, which are basically a grouping of targets based on some certain criteria. So these are all ones that are included. I haven't created any of these new. These are included with the base automation packs. But if you look like at SAP, let's look at SAP non-46C. So if we look inside that, it has criteria to basically, you can basically define any criteria you want here, but here we have target SAP version does not equal a 46C. So this will basically run on any instance that is not a 46C system. And what you do, what will happen is when this runs, you actually see a process instance created for each component. So this does allow you to segment out certain things. If you want to run certain SAP systems on certain days, if you want to run, administrator checklist on, a certain set of systems every day, this is kind of a nice way to configure that. The configuration is runtime users. You can configure any individual users, iOS users, runtime users, SAP users, SNMP users, and Windows users, and configure those with the names and passwords as needed. You can do this, when you're setting up targets, you can do it as a part of the target, or you can do it as a pre-target component. You cannot do it, of course, post-target, because we have to connect to the target to verify it before saving. Knowledge base articles allow you to build some knowledge base articles. We, of course, have some included, and categories. I spoke to this earlier in an earlier series, but they're almost kind of like a folder that you can better categorize your processes in. Calendars, you really won't do a whole lot. You can set up your own calendars there. We include a pretty good list of calendars already. These are for use with schedules. So as far as other configurations, you really won't do anything in the admin tab unless you're in adapters or in automation packs. We will go into automation packs at a later point. So the last part to discuss is the CLI. In Horizon, you could, of course, just like in TEO, you can go and you can right click and enable targets. In Horizon, you could use the built-in CLI to disable targets, for scheduled maintenance. We do have that as well. However, we use a PowerShell CLI, so it's good to have PowerShell, pre-installed on your Windows environment if you plan to use this, so you can run TEO commands against your PowerShell. And there are ones like enable disable target, enable disable process, start process. So you can do a handful of different commands on the PowerShell. It's only 32-bit PowerShell, so if you are running on a 64-bit environment, you have to run the 32-bit PowerShell, not the 64-bit PowerShell. When you install PowerShell, you'll get both with it. If you need more information or you want to see step by step, please refer to the PowerShell CLI guide that is included in your documentation in your TEO folder, or you can contact support, and they would be happy to help you with any issues you have. This concludes segment 3 and concludes the Horizon to TEO video tutorial on configuration.